There we go. All right. So this is the third episode, I don't know what we're calling it, session of Cabin Fever Reliever, Art to Change the World's online classes to get us out of our cabin fever in this winter. This one is called Connections Part 2. So thanks to those who were here for Part 1. And at least two of you were not, so I will recap just a bit and I will share my screen. Okay. I'm going to highlight and share. Okay. Does that work?
Hmm.
You can see all the icons in my desktop. Haha. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is Connections Part 2. We're talking about ekphrasis in poetry and art. So last week we focused on the poetry from the art, and this week we're going to focus on the art from the poetry. So this class came about because I just loved this concept when I learned about it. And I found somebody else who knew what I was talking about. And I'm like, let's teach a class. More people need to know about this because this is so much fun. So you got to hear Mary's version last week. So for those who were not here and for those who are still kind of like, what does that mean again? It's such an odd word, isn't it? Ekphrasis. So I'm going to go over that. So the dictionary definition is the use of detailed description of a work of visual art as a literary device. So I thought about that for a while, and it's really not just a literary device to me. It can be used in other ways. And so we're going to talk about that this time. I feel it brings something new. So think about something new and unique to a work of visual art, allowing the reader to not only experience it, but to experience it in a fresh way. So it's not mimicking a style, but it's focusing on the creation of something new while keeping the spiritual essence of the original. And this kind of my interpretation of it. It takes on an influence of another work, usually in a different media, and creates a new image, keeping the essence of the original creator's inspiration. Um, so, so we all looked at this painting last week. So this is a Jackson Pollock painting. And when we looked at it, we had some interpretations of it. So some people wrote about it. Um, I really liked what Deb shared about it being like, it looks like there's no floor to this piece. And when you think about that, it doesn't look like anything's holding it up, right? It's pretty chaotic. And we talked about the inspiration for this piece was also right, the atomic bomb, right? Everything just chaos, blow up, boom, right? And it's just a mess. That was one of the inspirations. And so for us to interpret this piece as inspiration, um, we had just different ideas. Does anyone remember what else was how else it was described? Feel free to jump in and share how else what other people said. Did anyone write anything else about it since then? Um, okay. So, um, part of this is we can't really see, like with the painting, you can see kind of the levels like behind it, on top of it. So we kind of maybe the stuff underneath was put down first, probably, right? But we still can't really tell where's the beginning, where's the end. So there have been poets that write poems to try to mimic what's going on, but not exactly a new, fresh idea, a new image, or a new writing. And so one poet started their poem with the word and. So when you start something with and literally, that's not really a beginning of a sentence. So for this painting, you can't really see where the beginning is. So think about how that relates to the poem. When you just start with the word and, you're not showing a beginning, you're showing that everything is happening at the same time. So the poet Ezra Pound did that. And it also has to do with, so there's no beginning. It exists in one time and place, just like this painting. It's existing in one time and place. That has to do with the concept of also vorticism, which is influenced by cubism. So because all these images and descriptions are happening around the same time, the same place, intertwined together in a knot, a vortex of energy and life. So that's kind of the idea for that. That was explained there. So the cubist elements, so a lot of people that did write about artwork or actually write poems inspired by art, were inspired by Cubist paintings. So the Cubist elements include juxtaposition of elements, overlapping, going in different directions. You don't know where to look first, right? Or you have to take a second look and be like, what's that? Because they're multidimensional, they're of different subjects, but are actually all part of one whole. The images are broken down into simple shapes, keeping the essence of the subject. So we're going to look at one writer named William Carlos Williams, who was also a painter. So he uses basic Cubist elements in this. So in this painting, so he's writing the poem. So in this, can everyone see my slide? The poem's on the left, the painting's on the right. Okay, good. So the poem on the left is an excerpt of a longer piece called Spring and All. And so William Carlos Williams was inspired by this painting on the right. And even though doesn't look obviously cubist, it is somewhat considered in that genre. Anyway, so I'm just going to read you the poem, and I want you to look at the painting on the right and see that the poem is not illustrating the image on the right. The poem is its own piece of artwork inspired by the painting, but pulling out from the painting some feeling, some of the essence of what this painting's goal was for how people should feel, right? But the writer brings his own feelings and inspiration into this new piece. So this is part of Spring and All. By the road to the contagious hospital, under the surge of the blue mottled clouds driven from the northeast, a cold wind. Beyond the waste of broad, muddy fields, brown with dried weeds, standing and fallen, patches of standing water, the scattering of tall trees. All along the road, the reddish, purplish, forked, upstanding, twiggy stuff of bushes and small trees with dead, brown leaves under them, light, leafless vines, lifeless in appearance, sluggish, dazed spring approaches. They enter the new world naked, cold, uncertain of all save that they enter. All about them, the cold, familiar wind. Now the grass, tomorrow the stiff curl of wild carrot leaf. So, just looking at my notes here. So because the right is a single image, Williams in this writing is concerned with words as a single image. So these images together form the juxtaposed images in the poem as a whole piece. So these words that he's using, blue mottled clouds, muddy fields, dried weeds, all these different images are met with action and direction words that include under, driven, beyond. So see, he's pulling out these things. And of course, what's a painting without color, right? So he's using color in the painting as well. Also, does anyone notice anything else that he might have tried to do to pull out the essence of this painting in a poem?
The word naked stands out to me, and the cracked pots kind of to me represent like vulnerability, and that could be like interpreted as nakedness and vulnerability.
Nice. That's beautiful.
I was
Absolutely.
gonna say the naked stands out for me too, especially with the white flowers. They seem pretty like vulnerable and fragile and cold.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the painting reproduction is really not doesn't probably do the original justice at all, but you can at least give you an idea of what we're looking at, right? So no, that's great. The other thing he does is in poetry, white space between the words, between the stanzas is actually, a big deal. Like, where do we put the white space in the poem? Like, it's intentional. So that's what you do when you paint, right? You figure out where's the negative space, where's the positive space, where's the white space, where is the place for the eye to rest. So that was also intentional. So the stanzas, the rhythm, the amount of words, um, all those things are taken into account. And the feeling, right? The feeling the painting gives you, the feeling the poem gives you, all that. All right, does anyone else have any observations?
So
Okay.
there's a sense of I don't know, I'm just getting this environment, a sensation of sort of, dryness and brittleness and, like fall and the drying and fragility of things.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's well, it because of the brown and the lack of color, it looks more fall, but so it's because it's spring. He's trying to get the same. I mean, it's spring and fall are kind of similar, right? Because they're
Mm,
birth and death and that brown becoming green again. And so I think that he's really trying to come get that across of that it's not this full summer color yet, right? So
yeah.
yeah.
Um, this is Laura.
Yeah.
What I get is like the poem really transcends the painting for me. Like the poem puts me in a whole environment and landscape,
Mhm.
um, like much farther beyond the couple potted plants in the painting.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah, because he's talking about more than just this close-up thing, right? Like muddy fields and everything, right? So we're getting a sense of more than what this image is. And so it might have also been helpful had I just read you the painting and then you created your own image in your mind. And then I could show you the image and then you could say, oh, that wasn't what I was picturing, or oh, that has some of the things in it that makes me
Mhm.
feel something, right? So I think the more that we talk about it, I think the more you'll understand the whole concept of ekphrasis, because that's really the goal here is so you understand what that all means. So we're going to jump a little bit into two different genres with ekphrasis here. So the first one, we're going to talk about music actually as one of the media. And so when I heard a composer once at an orchestra talk about the piece that he was going to have the orchestra play that he wrote, and it was called the Grand Canyon or something similar to that, and how he felt when he first saw the Grand Canyon. And I just was enlightened, like, wow, that means like he can write a piece of music about what he saw and what he felt, and we're supposed to hear that and be like, oh wow, I feel like I'm at the Grand Canyon, or I feel I'm looking at something amazing, or oh, I'm feeling something that this guy, felt, that's trying to convey that. And so just for me, that music can be inspired by a place, by just about anything, but what do we get from it? Are we getting that visual, that feeling of this grandiose thing that we're looking at? Um, anyway, so a poet named Langston Hughes was very inspired by jazz music. And he wrote a piece that was inspired obviously by jazz music, a jazz player, and he also wrote it was written in response to the Harlem riots and just his everyday scenes and surroundings. But I'm going to read it to you and I want you to listen. I put a picture on the right of the Grand Canyon just to give you something to stare at while I read the poem, but I also want you to look at the poem itself, the white space around it, what it looks like, and I want you to just listen to the sound, because this is a poem that's inspired by sound and it's capturing some of the essence of that jazz song. And I want you to listen for that. Okay, I'm just going to read it. It's called The Weary Blues. Droning a drowsy syncopated tune, rocking back and forth to a mellow croon, I heard a Negro play down on Lenox Avenue the other night by the pale, dull pallor of an old gas light. He did a lazy sway, he did a lazy sway to the tune of those weary blues. With his ebony hands on each ivory key, he made that poor piano moan with melody. Oh, blues! Sways to and fro on his rickety stool. He played that sad reggae tune like a musical fool. Sweet blues, coming from the black man's soul. Oh, blues! In a deep song voice with a melancholy tone, I heard that Negro sing, that old piano moan. Ain't got nobody in all this world, ain't got nobody but myself. I's gonna quit my frowning and put my troubles on the shelf. Thump, thump, thump went his foot on the floor. He played a few chords, then he sang some more. I got the weary blues, and I can't be satisfied. I ain't happy no more, and I wish that I had died. And far into the night he crooned that tune. The stars went out, and so did the moon. The singer stopped playing and went to bed, while the weary blues echoed through his head. He slept like a rock or a man that's dead. So what did you guys hear? How did it make you feel?
Weary and sad, but hopeful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you think jazz music has that same effect?
I love jazz. I absolutely love jazz and the blues, so it you can have both at the same time, the heartache and heartbreak and the gorgeous celebratory aspect of jazz. You know, that it comes alive. You come alive, it comes alive.
Right. Absolutely. Some.
I
So,
you know I like the rhythm of the different what stanzas, the
mhm.
different groups of you know in music you have phrasing, thing sounds are connected to one another, and it's almost like a sentence and then another sentence, and it yeah I like the beat of the actual words.
Yes, and
And
I didn't read it the way it was supposed to be read, but so I tried.
yeah, you know, but it was enough. It was enough. Um and it's almost like, you know, blues, you get lost in blues. You just don't even, it's like, yeah, blues is hard and it's, you know, they talk about struggle and strife, but you know, blues just takes you away too. So you don't, it's not like you're left in that place. It sort of transcends it, what it is. It's I don't know how to explain it any better.
No, no, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, like you know, you're transcending the lyrics of this by just being in, you know, being in the moment. It's very Zen actually, or Buddhist, and
Sure.
it's and how it resonates with me.
Yeah,
It's
it's an experience. I mean, whether it's read
yeah.
out loud or whether you read it to yourself, it's an experience that you're going through. And the one thing that, you know, music and poetry have in common is that they do have somewhat of a start and a beginning and a time frame that you experience, you know, where a painting is very static and one time glance, right? Um,
I have one thing
I
to say. Jazz for me is very unstructured. I mean, it's obviously a song, so there's a beginning and an end or whatever, but it's a very unstructured format. It's very free form and um unexpected a lot of times. You know, you can't necessarily put it in a box, which is why it's jazz, which is why a lot of times people don't like jazz because it feels odd or off to people because there isn't that formal structure to jazz, which is what I love about jazz. And I I think this poem is a little like that too. It's structured, but it's unstructured at the same time. You know, it doesn't have all the rhyming and it's not always as expected it to be, you know.
Right.
Again, it painted a perfect picture of the man playing and all that, but in a very freeform nature, which is I think how jazz is to me anyway.
Well, right. Like there's like one line that's repeated and then there's some exclamation points. Like it's trying to be like some kind of a musical thing, but it's still a poem. Yeah. It's a lot going.
I I would say music, and for me jazz is the language of the heart, and it's like an unspoken heart feeling, and I would say I get that same feeling being in nature as well. And I actually went to the Grand Canyon for the first time, and I would say being in that awe, that's the same feeling of music for me at times. And so
Awesome. Me too. Yeah. All right. So we will move on. So I'm just going to talk about the guidelines we learned last week and see if I can move this out of the way. Oops. Okay. Because of Zoom, it cuts off the right side of my PowerPoint. I'm going to read from my phone. Okay, so ekphrastic poetry guidelines. So one is to use the title of the painting. You don't have to, but it's kind of honoring the piece that you're getting your inspiration from sometimes when you do that. So usually you use the title of the painting. So this is when you write a poem from art. The second one is your main goal is in this poem is not just to describe what you are seeing in the visual, but how you are bringing it to life for your readers. And then three, how are you in conversation with the piece? How does it make you feel? What does it trigger? What does it get you to question? So allow these conversations to flood into your poem. You could also creatively imagine yourself as part of the painting or in the painting, writing your poem from that perspective. So that's what we did last week. So this week I had to switch to changing the words so we can go from the poem to the visual art. So we're going to do that next. So when you do that, I want you to keep in mind you're going to most likely use the title of the poem as the title of your painting or your rendering. And your main goal in this piece is not just to illustrate what you are seeing in the poem, but how are you bringing it to life for your viewers? How are you in conversation with the piece? How does it make you feel? What does it trigger? What does it get you to question? So allow these conversations to flood into the piece. You could also creatively imagine yourself as part of the poem or in the poem, creating your piece from that perspective. So when we go forward, we're not going to illustrate the poem. So how is illustrating different? So we're not going to illustrate what we see. We're not trying to show, it's not a storybook. We're not trying to show what the poem is saying. What you're doing is you're going to capture the essence of what the poem was going for, how it makes you feel in this new media. What is the main goal and inspiration of the poem? That's what you're going to really illustrate. That's what you're going to draw is the main goal, the inspiration, the essence, how it makes you feel, what is pulling to you in this piece. Okay, so I have two poems here that I want us to use. And you can pick one. I'm going to read them out loud, but you can pick one and illustrate that. And if you get done sooner than everybody else, you can do the other one. So think about, while I read these, which one maybe you're inspired by and you want to work on. This one on the left is a translation. of a Rumi poem called The Guest House. I'm going to read it. The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So let that sit with you a bit and see if there's an inspiration you want to pull out of that visually. Otherwise, the other option I have today is called Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. Wild geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. So just take some time, and if you don't want to draw anything, you can always just take some notes, some writings, what inspires you, or you can make some visual marks, sketches, a painting, colors. What we're trying to do again is to pull out the essence, the goal, the inspiration of this piece in an entirely new way in a different media. And then those who'd like to share at the end, we can share and chat about that. So I'm going to keep the screen share up so you can see the poem. Okay, I want to give you a lot of time to really put yourself into this. So just keep going, doing what you're doing. Um, Maybe I'll check you back in about 5 minutes or so. But I'll give you at least probably a good at least 8 minutes more to do your thing. So keep going. Okay, let's take the last 2 minutes to finish up, and then we'll share. That's okay. Okay, take the next few seconds to finish up.
Mm-mm.
All right, so I wonder how many people chose the guest house and how many people chose wild geese. So let's start with the guest house. Who wants to share? And if you don't want to share your image, you can also even describe it to us or what things that you pulled out that you wanted to create in a new image from this poem. It can just be words. You can just speak it too if you don't want to share.
I'm Nadine. I'm not an artist by drawing. I'm an abstract artist, so this was challenging for me. But I will show you if you can see it because I'm on my phone. It's a person sleeping homelessly on a park bench, and there's a cat that is coming on top of the park bench to inspect. And up here, there's an owl and a tree to represent the park. Um, I
Oh, that, let me
feel,
see if I can. I want to spotlight you, but I'm
I
trying to.
don't know if you can see it because I'm on my phone. I'm sorry.
There we
Oh,
Okay.
go.
yes, we can now.
Oh, yes, I see it on my screen now. Yeah, okay. So it's like a 2-year-old drawing because I suck at drawing. But basically, for some reason the poem made me think of like a homeless person who just doesn't normally come, but was like, I'm just here for now. And like the owl here and the cat, which I tried to draw a mouse, but it turned out as a cat with very big whiskers, ended up being what showed up for me. And it's kind of like you're asleep and nature is around you, protecting you, and is kind of keeping an eye on you. And when you're asleep in an open nature park, there's going to be animals and stuff around you. And the homeless person is sleeping peacefully, but for some reason that's what came to my mind when I read that poem. Well, when you read that poem.
Nice. No, I love that you interpret it in your own way, and it's a new image. It's a new image.
Yeah. And I will admit I'm not the best artist with drawing, but
No,
um
that's not needed here. What's needed here is just to figure out how to take the essence of something and be
yeah, I
inspired by
just
it.
took the
So that's
essence
great.
as like a homeless person who doesn't normally sleep there, but they're there for just a moment, in time. And this is just where they're going to be for today. And, while they're asleep, little do they know, like nature's looking out for them.
I think
Right.
you're very imaginative myself. That's an artist.
Oh, well, thank you. You're going to make me cry. That's really sweet.
I mean it.
Yeah. So that's what I think of. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
You're
Anyone else?
welcome.
Anyone else did the guest house?
I
I
just
did.
kind of like the if I can you see that? I
Now
just
I can.
with the shape of the words for me.
The shape of the what?
The shape of the words, I was trying not to be illustrative.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I'm
great.
just kind of like going with the flow of the words, what shapes they suggested to me. So
That's awesome, Deb.
yeah,
I like that.
just fun. Yeah.
Oh, Laura's showing hers. I'm just gonna spotlight for that. All right, Laura's showing hers. So that's her version of the guest house.
Well, yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. I did include a broom, though I don't know if anyone can recognize it, but it made me think of bugs entering a house that bugs that you don't necessarily want to deal with, but come in the house and then you have to deal with them, all the unexpected guests.
That's a great way to
Um,
interpret it.
I like that.
yeah, I tried not to illustrate, so I really can't say too
Yeah.
much. I tried to just let myself go. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think it's really hard for me as an illustrator not to illustrate. It's
Yeah.
very difficult. So I really praise you and Deb for just being like, well, I'm just going to be abstract with it because I think that does help us stop from illustrating images. Um,
Mhm.
I maybe I'll just share mine quick because then you can understand that illustrative need. Um, so I just wrote some notes on the bottom of what I was trying to pull out of from the poem. So it says embracing sorrow. So I was going with the whole inspiration of embracing. And so
Mhm.
this person's
You
kind
did a good job.
of so this person's like kind of sitting and just feeling those sorrows kind of hunched over. And then, but what the poem wants you to do is just reach up and embrace all those things coming in every morning. So we kind of had the sun and then these things coming inside and how we need to embrace those. So it's still illustrative, but instead of drawing a guest house or something like that, I was trying to be like, all right, what does this poem mean to me? I feel that it's about this body and what you're trying to put in it and be okay with. So that's kind of where this drawing came from. But me being more illustrative, I see too many images. But yeah, it forces us to do something a little differently. And
I,
Linda,
I did it. I did
wanna?
it. I did it too. I don't know that it's going to show up.
Yeah,
It's
no, we totally
it's
do that.
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Well, I love that poem by Rumi. I use it as a philosophy of life or
Awesome.
a guide. I mean, a guide, I guess. And so, I a vessel came to mind, or a clay pot, which you different liquids get poured into it. Wine can be festive for a wedding or a party, and then there's the depression. And um, I had jagged. I have it. This is jagged. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the meanness. I didn't get too far. The green, kind of a calm. Anyway, I love the idea that embracing the emotions of the day and the darkness may flow out of you, but then something new will come in to you, that kind of thing. So the bottom is going to be flowing out.
Mm.
So it's abstract, but kind of symbolic.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that you change it into like the liquid coming in instead of like, feelings or air or whatever. I really like that you took that concept with it. And maybe the colors coming out then on the bottom are going to be different colors, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't have any idea.
Cool. No, I love it. That's great. And especially with your style. Yeah, I can see that. I can see you continuing this and finishing it and framing it, Lynette.
Yeah.
Is anyone else?
Mine also is. I'm gonna piggyback on this because mine's very much a liquid idea. Also, I'm trying to think if I should. I'm on my cell phone, so I'm also not sure if this is coming. Oh my god, it's like a mess. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
No,
that's
I
okay.
have it. I have it backwards, so I don't know if you can see anything.
Okay. Well, we'll
There.
like,
Yeah, now we can see it.
oh
Now
yeah.
we can see it. Yeah, I like it.
Oh,
I like
sideways.
the, oh, that's,
Wonderful.
yeah, wonderful is what I would say too.
So it sort of had a
Mm.
lava lamp impression for me with the fluid, coming in and out, kind of, which is what I was trying to show, that it's coming in and going out at the same time.
Awesome.
All I had was some pens, and I had one colored pencil. So it's amazing what you can do with very limited supplies, and if you just go for it instead of worrying about it.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. Thank you, Anna.
I just had a couple of markers and a pen, so
Yeah.
So it's very whimsical almost. I love
I'll share mine. Kind of abstract, but as I flicked my paintbrush, I thought about how I hate
Oh my
being
gosh.
sad.
You hate
I do.
what did you say?
I said I hate being sad, so I flicked my
Oh.
brush. It was an act of protest and
Oh,
performance art for one. So this is the world where my sadness can go because it's not invited to my house yet.
Nice. I love it. That is great.
Actually, it's actually space. So I'm sending my sadness to space. And I did a performance art piece for one in my studio. So
Oh, wonderful.
Awesome. Awesome. All right.
You shot that rocket.
Okay. Did anybody else do the guest house that wanted to share, or should we move on?
I have it as well. I came from a totally different place. I was totally abstract, and I don't know if maybe I should turn off this light.
Oh,
We can see it very well.
yeah, we can see it.
So it's basically I started with black charcoal, and it was very sort of dark and ominous, and I immediately had to get up and go get some pastels, and I filled in those colors over top, and it was a very I don't know how to describe it. It was very tactile. It was like, I obliterated the darkness with lighter tones and wanted to create excitement and color and sort of this breaking out of experience. And so that's what I created.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm very, most of my stuff is very rendered, very literal. But in this place, it was the absolute polar opposite.
That's good. It gets you out of your element and has you think differently, right? So
Yeah. And I love being inspired to do an abstract and be more visceral about what it is I'm experiencing. So this was a really great exercise.
awesome. I think Barbara and Leo are the only two that hadn't shared. Barbara, did you have anything, or Leo?
I'm just a lurker tonight.
Okay. That's silly fine. Leo, did you want to share or
Yeah, sure. I also did this poem, so it seems like most people.
Everybody did.
I
Yeah.
think there's a big inspiration there then. Oh, your trees are beautiful.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's gorgeous.
I did the same like liquid thing, but with watercolors, with like what it's made out of. So I really, I've been thinking a lot about like alchemizing feelings, like especially with everything that's going on. So like alchemizing fear and alchemizing anger. Which it reminded me a lot of that first poem of the guest house, like inviting everybody in. Um, and then for me, it's like, and then what? I don't know. So I was trying to think about what would that look like. So I was trying to represent like different kinds of, I don't know, swirling emotions. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. With especially with the colors and everything in there, you can really tell that those colors are really emotional and have meaning. And I think as us as artists, we know that and we use that in our paintings a lot. And so to hear it in poetry and to interpret it from poetry is really cool. I'm going to share my screen again so we can go to the last slide. All right. So this is my crazy little illustration on the bottom of going from keeping that love and essence we have for pieces as they go from sculpture to drawing to painting to book illustration to three-dimensional stuff to stage acting to whatever in your head and to music, right? So many artists of any kind can be inspired by a painting. Many artists create art based on others' work, either with their own goals in mind or by process of ekphrasis. There's a connection between author and artist and poet and painter, and there's a connection between ancient art through the ages to contemporary. David Shapiro says that the marriage of poetry and painting is a good one. Sometimes the two arts, it is true, have been seen as sisters, with all attendant jealousies and bickerings. We choose to see them as partners, sometimes softly affectionate towards each other, other times in a passionate union as fruitful as the earth. So, thank you guys for going through this journey of part 1 and 2 of connections and what ekphrasis is in poetry, literature, art, and all the stuff that inspires us as humans to create and to be inspired by other people's work with a goal in mind and keeping the essence of that piece that makes us feel something. So, is there anything else anyone would like to say or anything you
Just
learned?
thank you for the classes. They've been very